let's try this one. So I was talking to one of my producer homies, and we were talking about getting older and being in an era where we feel like we care too much about rap. And it was in relation to styles of music, the way music comes out, things that we've seen, all the things that we've seen that have changed in hip hop. We've been around long enough to see a lot of changes, right? I'm not saying we the oldest, but the game has evolved underneath us from watching it for years. And he says to me, he says, Mike, sometimes I think we care too much in this era. He's like, do you ever feel like that? And I'm like, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And he said it always comes off as an older person in the game when you say you care too much, like when you care about the product that you put out. You take time and effort to put into it. We see artists that do that, but in the microwave generation, it's getting faster and faster now. A lot of people really don't care. It's more about the numbers and the turnaround. So for you guys all of us being veterans in the culture, I think it's safe to say that. Are there times where you feel like you care a little bit too much, or you're, putting a little too much effort into it in a microwave generation as it relates to your art or your creativity? Lone, I'll come to you first because you dibble and dabble in so many things. Do you ever feel like you care too much at this point?
No.
You don't? Okay.
I feel like if that's a conversation that you have to have in general, like if you're caring too much, I feel like that's a good problem to have.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with caring, regardless of if it's cool or not. It's cool to care about where hip hop is going. It's cool to care about the things, that matter. Now, what I would also say is that there is such a thing, I think, of caring about the wrong things, maybe.
Okay.
So like
putting I'll give you an example.
Okay. Putting
too much energy into artists being quote unquote whack. Talking about artists that are bad. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. Like that would be an example of one where it's like, why are you putting so much energy into something that you probably not going to listen to anyway?
Well, to me, my philosophy on that is don't put any energy into stuff you don't like, period.
Fair enough.
If you put energy into it, then you're literally giving it time. It's like, didn't we just talk about this last week about something like this?
It kind of related to, my whole thing about booing people off the stage.
Well, kind of. Well, kind of, but not really. I understand that because to me, that would be caring.
Mm-hmm.
That would be
that's
caring.
how I say I still care. I care enough to boo people off stage.
Yeah,
I can dig that.
No,
I can dig that.
There was something else that it's irrelevant. But no, I feel like I don't know. I could go so many different ways with this.
I know you could. You're the person.
For example, we got a comment on bringing down the band today when somebody was like something about something we said, and he said 4 clowns. You guys are clowns for something that we
get that every week though.
Yeah, for sure. but it's one of those things. It's like, should I care about this random person,
right,
that is making a comment about something that we go out of our way to do every week? No, I should not put any care into that.
What about from an artistic standpoint as a creative, like what you put into your music from it? You got a project that just coming out. You put effort into that.
Yeah, and seeing I don't even care that you don't know. Right. And maybe I should, right? But
that's what I'm trying to get to.
It's like I think I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling at this point because I can't pinpoint exactly what we're talking about.
What about caring?
Yeah, but like caring
it's kind of
so
similar
far.
to a few conversations we've had in the past. I mean, I guess caring about it means you're still passionate about it.
That's
in a
good
sense.
word.
But as far as caring about new artists coming along and what they're doing and how they don't sound the same as artists that we prefer back in the day, I mean, that's not our place. It's kind of like everything has to evolve or evaporate. You can't stay in the same situation or stay stagnant. You can like what you like, but you still can't be upset that somebody's doing what they're doing, if that makes any sense.
I think it can be Lone kind of pointed was going in this direction. I think it can be misguided from an energy standpoint because at one point you're the person I'm just using myself as an example. At one point you're the person that is so gung-ho about, we're going to save hip hop. We're going to bring it back. We're going to revive this. We're going to do that.
That's cute.
And exactly. And you think about, nobody cares that you're out here crusading online and writing 5 or 6 paragraphs and going back and forth with somebody about how you're going to quote unquote save it. that energy could be shifted to the projects that you're working on, which is also a form of caring, like really putting effort into your work and the stuff that you put out.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the reason why I'm having a hard time answering this is because, one, I agree with that, and that's kind of how I approach everything right now.
Mhm.
Like, it's just from an energy standpoint. Like,
Right.
yes, I care less today about sharing people's music, and I don't put as much of a burden on myself back when we were blogging all those years ago. Back when we were in it all the time, like if we forgot to share somebody, like, yeah, I would take it almost personal, like, oh man, I need to get this person out there because I felt like that responsibility.
Right.
And I think that's okay. But, you know, I think also with that comes like a growth and an understanding that even if it's really egoic, because it's like just because I share somebody's stuff doesn't mean it's going to really have so much more of an impact than if I don't.
Right.
I mean, it might, maybe a little bit, but realistically, like, I feel like that puts too much
importance on
myself.
Yeah.
And I try to approach things in general as, I mean, obviously my saying is I don't care, and it's a joke at this point, but realistically, I don't care about a lot of stuff unless because there's so much stuff to actually care about that I don't care about, you know, this little person's comment over here or this little rapper over here, you know, and what they're doing, or necessarily, like, if it happens to fall in line with where I am and I can contribute in some sort of positive way and I have the space to do that, then I do everything that I can, you know, in that time period. But as I've gotten older, I think I've just kind of grown to realize that my impact isn't as big as necessarily I thought it could have been.
That's where
And it doesn't even matter.
That's where I'm going, because you and I had a conversation. I don't even know if you remember this. This was a side conversation. And we were talking about Googling and credentials. And I always said that just Google's a strong tool. Go look it up.
Right.
If you have any questions about me or anything I'll talk about, I say I've done, go look it up. We and you were talking, and you're like, but dog, at the end of the day, you got to remember too, that a lot of these people just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just a part of it. You know what I'm saying? It just comes with it. It made me think about that when you just said what you said. But it's also, the reason I ask is because it's really a maturity conversation, because 20 years ago, I would have cared so much about all this other stuff that I really shouldn't even have put energy into.
No, for sure.
You know, versus now where it's like I try to streamline my time and my energy because it's more valuable. You still want to impact and have your impact on the culture, however that may be. But to waste a lot of that just because you think you're trying to care too much, I'm over that now. You know what I'm saying?
Part of the caring is because it's part of your character itself.
Yeah, good point.
That's
and
true.
it's part of your culture.
Good
You know what I'm
point.
saying? We sit up here and do a hip hop podcast every week for 19 weeks now straight.
Mhm.
True.
So it's, in a sense, we care about the kind of little waves that we do have in the game.
Right.
But we don't care as far as you have to take what we say as law. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of it. Look,
We're in our lane.
Right.
100%.
And we're doing what we do in our lane, and we're trying to be 100% true to who we are as
Right.
we move through it. But if we don't reach what somebody else envisions us to be or thinks that we should be, we're still going to move in our lane and
never
continue
lose
to go.
never lose sight that we are also
Not to cut you off.
oh yeah,
we're
no
also credible in what we talk about.
But even still, I don't care.
Is that a I don't care? Is that
It's like,
it doesn't matter?
I don't care if this person doesn't see me as credible, because another person is going to come along and look at it and make their own determination. Like, it's
Exactly.
Oh, that's good.
It's
It's
like,
kind
who
of like how we
cares?
That's
we
good.
put a lot of emphasis on local people checking us out.
we used to early
we used
on.
to. That's what I'm saying. We
Yeah.
used to put a lot of emphasis on that. Where now, majority of our crowd are not from here,
Yeah.
Right.
Majority.
and it's like we don't even care anymore.
Yeah, it's-
that
At all.
People talk about it from here, or even watch it from here, so to speak.
Yeah.
If you watch it, good, cool, kudos. But if you don't, oh well, it's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, no, I think part of it, at least for me, about caring
Mhm.
is I think about all the places hip hop has taken me.
Right.
I think about all the I'm thinking about us being friends and doing, like, without hip hop.
No, for
It
sure.
It doesn't happen.
No,
True.
for sure.
It doesn't happen. There are just things I've been able to do, and some of the best experiences of my life have happened through the gateway of hip hop.
Right.
You know, but also sometimes you can get to caring. And I used to think if I talked bad enough about rappers who I didn't think were good online, that it would make some sort of change, and it doesn't work like that.
It's the opposite.
We've all had that phase,
and so like I'm in a place now where I'd rather talk about the things I like. I'd rather talk critically and artistically about things I don't like instead of just saying this person. I don't know. I used to say some wild stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like
I did too.
and just cast really almost personal attacks on people because I didn't think artistically what they were doing was good. And sometimes I got caught up in the hype of talking bad about things because if you hip hop, that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to like Puff
that's
Daddy.
what I'm talking
You're
about.
not supposed to like, all this stuff from the South.
Hey, you weren't supposed to like
anything
3-6 Mafia.
Yeah.
Technically, if you was hip
hop,
you
you
know?
weren't supposed to like these things, and because that's not hip hop. And it was like, who am I? Who are you to say what is hip hop at any given time? And so like I understand where sometimes people's anger comes from because but you can't sit in your basement, smoke blunts and listen to Jedi Mind Tricks albums and just think,
With your
I'm
feet
hip
out.
hop. Yeah, and put your feet up.
No lemon pepper.
with your Timberlands and sitting around playing Sega Genesis games and I'm just saying so much of everyone. A lot of times people want to be hip hop purist because they feel like they care so much and they don't want to let anybody else in. If it doesn't sound like DJ Premier in 1994, they don't want it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, and trust me, I've been one of those people to look at. How dare you not give this? I remember when you used to really look at the back of the source for those album reviews.
Yes.
And it would be a record I had never heard, and I'd be like, how dare you only give it 3.5? You should give Rakim 4 mics just because he's Rakim.
Yeah.
And then I remember it was a problem when they gave Outkast 5 mics just because it was from the South.
When that was that East Coast energy.
It was, and a lot of times there are people who had never seen anything, the Statue of Liberty or nothing, got caught up in that East Coast energy talking about what hip hop is really supposed to be. The thing is, and they call themselves caring. Are you really caring? Are you being a gatekeeper? Or are you trying to just hold this thing?
They're not caring. They're being a hip hop Karen.
Yeah.
But it is gatekeeping.
Yeah.
It is.
And hold this thing that was a certain thing
just
when
say no.
you first discovered it.
He can't help it. He can't help it.
Because like if I wanted when it was Biggie, Wu-Tang, Snoop, a Tribe Called Quest, that era, if I just tried to hold on to that and be like, if it ain't that, it ain't hip hop, I would drive myself crazy.
Bro.
No, for sure.
I used to be, like I said, I was a 6-paragraph person. No. For the fight the power. You know what I mean? And I guess this is also kind of turned into an energy conversation, like how you divide your energy up and what you focus on. But it was just it was a conversation I wanted to talk about because we've all evolved. And I just wanted to see where you guys were at this point. That's what Terry said.
So in a sense, you have to not care about what impact somebody else is bringing to the game because it doesn't directly affect your experience with hip hop or the culture, so to speak. You can't worry about all of that. You ain't gonna do nothing but stress yourself out.
Because there are people who are my age, who try to get on and commentate about hip hop and be like, well, in my day, I really liked Public Enemy. Well, Public Enemy still makes music.
They do.
Yeah.
Did you check out the new thing?
Most recent album?
You talk about, oh man, I love Razzcast. The artists that you love, and I've talked about this on this show, they still make music. You just don't go and find it because you're on that because you're still thinking about 1994.
What bothers you?
No, it's not bothering me. I posted a short of Ab-Soul rapping on Bringing Down the Band like 2 days ago, right? And one of the comments was, and if this is you that's listening, it's all good, but the comment was like, man, they don't make raps like this anymore.
Absolutely.
They said that about Ab-Soul.
I was like,
it's brand new.
It's like he just dropped an album 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's a new release, buddy.
I've seen somebody post. I've seen
Yeah.
somebody post saying, "Who wants to hear an Ab-Soul album in 2022?"
A lot of people.
Oh my God, man!
I've seen that in real time.
So how old is Ab-Soul? Is he 55 or something like that? Like, what am I missing?
It's his content. It's his artistry. It's what you've been around these people that suddenly say, "Oh, that's boring. I don't want to hear that." He's too analytical. At the end of the day, it's just all over your head. It's all people don't want to. And I understand his preference at the end of the day.
It is.
Some people don't want to listen to something that they have to listen to a few times before they actually get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Some people just want to just
You know, I
Immediately.
mean,
It's a microwave
I mean,
generation.
just like
Attention.
a couple of
Clout.
episodes, you know, ago when I talked about, you know, the trend, or I don't know, it might have been last week when we talked about the trend in rappers who happen to be women.
Mhm.
And the trends that I see maybe happening and people getting burnt out on that. But then I think about it, I was like, I could have been talking about how one of my favorite songs last year was Rhapsody
Yep.
and Remy Ma, a
Yep.
song that was produced by DJ Premier. They shot a video for it.
Yeah.
You can find it.
Record was
easily.
dope. Record was dope.
The
If
whole
you
album
wanna-
was nice.
Yeah. So, you know,
it's
we
energy, man.
We should talk. you
Is
know,
that is that it?
Sometimes we think we're being purist by talking about the things we don't like as opposed to shining a light on the things that we do.
No, it is.
There we go.
No, for sure it is. And you know, I bring this. I take this back to what we used to do with bringing down the band. Outside of when we joked with the whelp stuff, but everything that we shared was our own personal cosign.
Yeah, it was like our filter.
We didn't share anything that we personally did not like. So it was like, well, do you know, like everybody was looking for that cosign of the blogs, you know, and there were some blogs that would just share everything. And we were like, no, we only share what we like. And if you only share what you like, then you're putting that positivity in there. It's like you're doing it just by default. It was a way for me to kind of weed out all the stuff I didn't want to share.
Right.
And I could just share everything that I liked. And if it got a ton of views, cool. If it didn't, all right.
There we
Did
go.
did that feel better? Just
It made it easier as some. And here's the interesting thing about this. For me personally, it made it easier because this way, I didn't get caught up as being an artist that was being critical of other artists.
Or a music hype beast.
Yeah, but for me specifically, it was like I never wanted to be critical of other artists in like a public type of way.
Right.
And so this was easy. I was like, I'm just sharing people that I like. And so, but what that evolved into down the line, you know, kind of to where we are now is more so that's kind of how I approach everything. It's just kind of like I try my best. You know, one of my resolutions is to not reply to comments.
oh, okay.
You know what I mean? It's
okay.
just in general, like especially like bad ones, you know, and or at least try to handle the criticism from somebody who does not matter better. You know,
I like that. I like
you
that.
know, and it's and I don't mean that necessarily super derogative. I just mean that in the sense that the comments don't matter. And
Well,
so
I mean, the thing is, the people who leave comments are that counts as a view.
exactly.
And you know, and also, you know, because I go through the comments sometimes, I'll be like, this person is so off on their own. They didn't even listen. They just saw the title and made an assessment.
Jump right out the window.
And so that's why I say, you know, I say this to myself. I heard the quote somewhere else. It was like, you cannot live for the applause because if you do, you will die by the booze.